Welcome to the YYC Real Estate Show. My name is Sebastian, Shiraz, and Zach. And today we're going to talk about the lowered interest rates and if that's actually going to benefit sellers or if buyers are just going to be taken over because things are not going the way we expected in Calgary's market. So, stay tuned. So, interest rates, they've been lowered.
Second drop in over a year. It stayed at the 5% for a long time. We all saw at the beginning of the year how many announcement increments they were going to have, announcement dates. And
Right.
It was unchanged for all of those times until previously dropped 25 basis points to 4.75 and now dropped another 25 basis points and it is now 4.5. So, but that's going to be prime plus.
Right.
You know, a lot of misconception. You think the interest rate's 4.5, but then you go get a pre-approval and you're like, why is my pre-approval 5.5, 5.2, 5.1? It's because that's just prime. There's always prime plus, right? So it's, again, talk to your mortgage broker to get the full details. We've had a number of mortgage brokers, financial advisors on the show. So there's a few episodes you can see in our links as well that can go over that. Like Brett Stankowski one is a good one. We've also had, we have a few financial advisors on, but I would go into Brett's and that'll talk you through why the interest rate is not 4.5 when you go get your pre-approval.
Right. And one interesting thing is like, how does that actually affect someone's mortgage if they're on variable rate, right? And one little example I kind of did the math on here is that if you have a mortgage of $645,000, right, and your interest rate is 5.7, right, you're paying about $4,019 a month. And after you drop it by 0.25%, you're paying about $3,924 a month. So you're kind of like, it kind of goes down by almost $100. So you're saving almost $1,200 a year by a 2.5 decrease in the interest, which is kind of cool.
0.25 decrease.
Yeah, 0.25 decrease in the interest, which is kind of cool to think about, right? It's like, how does it actually, like, what do the numbers look like?
Yeah, and you always want to do that, especially with our buyers when they're like, well, what's the difference if I do buy a house for $650 or $625? What does $25,000 difference look like for my mortgage payments, right?
Right.
So, you know, it's probably like $40 a month difference.
Right.
Something like that. So I'll give you a live example. So always like to do a 5-year fixed. So one of my properties, a 5-year fixed expires in October.
Mm-hmm.
So I did, they gave me what seemed to be a deal, an early renewal option at the bank. So it went from a 2.74 to a 5.8. Now the reason it's 5.8 is because I only opted for a 2-year fixed. Had I gone for a 5-year fixed, I could have gotten like a 4.9 or 5.0, 5.1 maybe. They had mentioned actually 4.9 on a 5-year fixed. But it's my opinion that it's going to drop even further.
Right.
So I only wanted to lock in for 2 years. So yes, I am paying more for these 2 years, but it's on the hopes that things do come down much more. And when I renew 2 years from now, hopefully the rate is much closer to the 2.74 I'm sadly saying goodbye to. I had a client the other day ask me, previous client, sold him a townhouse in Evanston, and he was asking me what he should do, what his options are. And I was looking at his mortgage that he renewed. I think he renewed it 2 years ago. And he did a 5-year fixed, and I saw 1.6%.
Wow.
So I was like, gone. Those days are gone. I said, you hang on to that rate, and you don't do anything until that maturity date.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, definitely, definitely. I was even talking to my barber today, and he said, like my renewal is coming up. It seems like everybody's renewal is coming up now, which is maybe one of the reasons we're seeing such a slowdown in the market. Just inventory's been increasing like crazy.
Yeah, so 3469 is the current active listings today, right now.
Yes.
And we talked about how beginning of this month there was 2,200, around 2,200. And how is this affecting us? I mean, price reductions is a big thing. We're doing price reductions with our sellers, having the tough conversations, showing them the data that you're not seeing a lot of showings, you're not getting offers. Gone are the days of selling first day on market, multiple offers, over ask, and that was the case 60 days ago.
Yeah, we talk about it a lot on the show. It really depends on if you're trading in the same market. Obviously, if you have buyers that need to sell as well, you don't gain much. I mean, as a buyer, a first-time home buyer, for example, you do have more options. You do have a little bit more time. You have a bit more negotiation power because there is more listings. But like I said, we talk about all the time, if you're selling in that same market, if you're selling and then you're buying, you're going to experience, like on the seller's side, a bit longer time on market probably. You're going to have to price it more strategically. You've had listings, like you said, you do a 20K drop and there's still no showings, another 20K drop, there's still no showings. So going into it, it is our job as realtors to really give knowledge about what the market's doing right now.
Manage
expectations. Yeah, for sure. That's huge. And that's our job all the time, but especially when the market starts to balance out a bit more. So yeah, it's crazy though. Like, I mean, yeah, for the last almost 2.5 years, or 2 years at least, we were all dealing with listings that were selling in a day, like you said, over ask. And now even I'm looking for my buyers, and you scroll through listings and it's 30 days on market, 60 days now, 90 days, people terminating for 15 days, relisting, so it goes top of market. So yeah, it's a interesting time for sure.
I mean, it just shows how drastically and how quickly the market can shift right before your very eyes.
Yeah.
We're experiencing it. We saw it this month. So it's just really interesting that we unfortunately don't have a crystal ball, and we just have to do the best we can. And you have to deal with the market and be realistic with the current market, right? So touching on your comment about, specifically one of the listings that I was talking about, I actually obliged the seller, but I got it in writing because the seller still, like majority of sellers today, in my opinion, they still are under the impression that they will sell in a day, they will sell for more than ask. It's still a hot market. So I said, I will list this at the price you want, which is not the price I suggest. But if we don't get anything in 14 days, 2 weeks, we are going to do a substantial reduction. 14 days went by. We did a $50,000 reduction. Still no action. And then just 2 days ago, I did another $20,000 from that. So it's been 24 days on market, and we've done $70,000 reduction. And still, I have yet to receive even a single offer.
Wow.
So this just shows you a live example of how the market has shifted right before our very eyes. Now, let's not talk about the one-offs, the anomalies. A great property, a great lot will sell no matter what the market is, because there is still property selling in a day right now.
Oh, yeah.
There is still people fighting for some properties, but those are like, the exception does not make the rule, right? An exceptional property, a one-off, a unique property, you can't take that as a benchmark, as a running average, right? So.
Yeah, but I mean, that's I think you've said it before, Zach, many times, where you tell people it's like we can't tell the future. We know what the market's doing now.
Yeah.
How do you say it? You said we know what we know.
We know now. Like it's basically. I mean, and the thing is like there's also what you gotta think about too, and what I tell my people is like we don't have a crystal ball. So, I mean, there's people that. It's all based in your own situation, and we always talk about that all the time. Like if you, on the buying and selling side, like if you have enough, financial confidence in what you're doing in your own life, buying real estate's always a great thing to do. It really depends on where your life is at, where your family's at, where your situation's at. So on the selling side, there's people that, like I said, are unrealistic and want to hold on to something, and maybe in a year it turns and they can get $60,000 more or $60,000 less. So it really depends, and it's just like I said, we say it all the time. It's our job to educate that. But I mean, I wish I had a crystal ball. I wish, for my own sake, I would be very, very rich. I could be very, very rich. We all would. So we know what we know now. Things change all the time, like you just said. It almost changed overnight. We talked
That's
about
what it feels like.
with the cashing guys. We do the podcast at our office. It was almost a day, June 20th. They were talking about at Brennan at dinner the other day. Said it was almost an overnight switch on June 20th, where something just happened and we don't know what it is. Obviously, there's some things to think about, but yeah, it's a weird time. So
it is, and the thing is, like, people are like, oh, now how am I supposed to find that next property that I wanted? The thing is, and I've said this many times, it's you sell high, you buy high. You
Yeah.
sell low, you buy low. If you're playing in the same
You're
market,
trading in the same market.
it's fine.
It's those that have multiple properties and those that have rental properties that were looking to liquidate a few this year and last year.
Yeah.
That really made out
Yeah.
well. And then those that were kind of waiting for a tenancy to expire, a lease agreement to expire. You know, my tenants are out in October, November, so I can't list till now or list August with a 90-day possession, right? Those are the ones that are saying, oh, shoot, you know, I missed that hot market January to June, right?
Yep.
So that's where it'll affect them, and they potentially will have to do another 1-year lease and see what the market does for next year. I had that difficult conversation this morning where there is a tenancy agreement ending, and the seller is like, well, should I list and see if I can get what I want? Because what you're telling me is 20, 30,000 less than what we talked about 3 months ago.
Yeah.
So I said, well, you can leave 20, 30K on the table and just sell.
Yeah.
Since this is one of your many rental properties, you can just put another tenant in there for 1 more year, and let's see what next year does, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I had the exact same conversation with a client, and he was like, I want to sell my property now, right? And I told him, you might have and I told him quite a few months ago, you could get about 380 for it, right? And now I'm like, if you want a chance of selling it, it's going to have to be 360. And he's like, oh, he just was so demotivated by me telling them. It's my job to tell him the truth, right? And educate him about what's happening. If he needs to sell it, that's the price. I don't want to waste his time. That's a rental property for him as well. I'd rather him just keep on renting it, making that income, than us pretending that we could sell it just for, I don't know, you know.
Yeah, well, that's what our reputation and our job comes to a fault, is we can't create false expectations. So that's good. Like, I mean, if you think you can make more cash flow by still renting it, then that's where you need the conversation you need to have with them, like you did. So I also think it's important to really play and understand people's motivations, right? Like if there's situations where someone needs to sell, like if they are having that baby coming, they need a bigger house, so they bought.
It's reminding them of what their motivation is.
Yeah,
right?
why you even started to think you need to sell? Like
what's your reason?
Yeah, what's your reason? So some people want to sell for. I mean, there's so many reasons, but it's really reminding them of why they even thought about selling in the first place, and the price cut they're willing to take in a different market. Like you said, 3 months ago, a price on a property, a $500,000 property, is probably like $460 now. I mean, give and take. But
yeah, and it's not necessarily, why is it now 460? It's just because there's more options for buyers, right? They can choose from more things, right? And they're not going to be as aggressive when trying to purchase a property because they know they can wait. They know they can, they have a little more flexibility on their options.
Yeah.
That's it.
And
right?
the market and economy determines the price. Like we don't.
Yeah.
We can give a number and try to help out, and they can have a number in mind, but the market determines the price.
Yeah. No, definitely. And for this year, there is 3 more interest rate announcements. It's September 4th, October 23rd, and December 11th. One of the big indicators of if they are going to continue to decrease the interest rates is the inflation. Right now we're standing at 2.7%, and the goal by mid-2025 is to get to 2%. One interesting thing is that we are because this inflation isn't just for Canada; it's for the whole world. And we are the first country in the G7 that lowered their interest rates, right? We're making the first steps. Hopefully that's a good sign, but I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, the same fact that we're pointing out on how the market can change overnight, it could also change right back to a hot market next month.
Yeah.
We don't know. That's what we're kind of proving to ourselves and showcasing to our clients, because all we have in front of us is the actual numbers, the facts. So, 2,200, around 2,200 listings July 1, 3,469 today.
Yeah.
Weekly sales, we're always in the mid 700s, even sometimes in the 800s for us every week, this whole year. And in the last month, and then of course this month, they dropped to 500 sales for the 7 days, and then we saw that creep up into the 600s only once this month. So sales are down and inventory's
up,
way up. And a balanced market we always talk about is how many average active listings.
Well, that was maybe 4 years ago, 5
No,
years
but
ago.
I'm just saying in general.
Yeah.
Calgary's
4,000.
average. Yeah, it's four,
Yeah, so we're close.
4,000 to 4,500 active listings.
Yeah.
Is a balanced market.
Yeah, so we're close to feeling what a normal market feels like.
We're
balanced
1,000.
market.
We're 1,000 away.
Yeah.
So we're headed that way.
With a
right?
1,500 increase from July 1, so we are headed that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the other way is, we've seen 6,500 listings, and that's when you have a heavy buyer's market, right?
Yeah.
Where they can look at a dozen options and take the best one and negotiate significantly, right?
Yeah.
Definitely. But yeah, that is the update for what is happening with Canada and Canada's real estate market, specifically Calgary. And we'll keep you guys updated on what's going on and when the interest rates drop, hopefully not go up. But if you are coming up on your mortgage renewal or want info on what your house could sell for now, I mean, the market is still up from what it was a few years ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago. It's still significantly up, right? So don't get the wrong impression. It's just not as hot as it was last
Like we're
month.
just comparing ourselves to ourselves. Like we're comparing Calgary stats to Calgary's numbers last year, the year before.
Yeah.
We are still leading the nation. We are still leading our country in real estate.
Yeah.
The province and specifically Calgary, we
Yeah.
are number one for values and for increases statistically and the percentages of increases in values and the amounts of sales that have happened. So we are still leading the nation, but we must speak and talk about feeling a quick change seemingly overnight. So
And that's what it does feel like, an overnight change. Okay, thank you for tuning in. This has been another episode of the YYC Real Estate Show.
Awesome. Thanks.